Lewis Hamilton's championship dream might already be over, and it has nothing to do with his driving. 3 race weekends in a row, he's been hit with penalties. 3 in a row. And now Fred Vasseur, his own team principal, has said something so direct, so unfiltered, that it's sent shockwaves through the entire paddock. If what Vasseur is suggesting is true, then Hamilton isn't just fighting Verstappen, Norris, and Antonelli for the title this year. He's fighting the FIA itself. And by the time you finish this video, you'll understand exactly why people are calling this the moment everything changed. Let's lay out exactly what's happened, because the scale of this is hard to overstate. At the British Grand Prix, Hamilton was hit with a 5-second penalty for a false start, stewards ruling he moved on the grid by a margin so small it was measured in millimeters, just a handful of them, despite Ferrari's own sensors showing no significant movement at all. He was also investigated for a yellow flag infringement in that same race, though he was ultimately cleared of that one after the FIA reviewed the footage. Then at Spa, more penalty trouble followed him into another weekend. And most recently in Budapest, Hamilton was penalized again, this time for pit lane speeding, exceeding an 80 km/h limit by just 1/10 of a kilometer per hour. Read that again. 1/10. A margin so microscopic it's almost impossible to comprehend as the actual difference between a completely clean pit stop and a costly time penalty that dropped him down the order. Vasseur addressed this directly, and this time he didn't hold back the way team principals usually do when they're trying to stay diplomatic with the governing body that controls their sports rulebook. He described the pattern using a phrase that's since spread through the paddock like wildfire, essentially arguing that these incidents are all being lumped into the same basket, judged as if they're evidence of a driver being reckless, when in reality they're a string of razor-thin technical margins that genuinely could have gone either way on another day, with another steward, under another interpretation. A movement of a few millimeters. A speed limit breach of 1/10 of a kilometer per hour. These aren't the kind of penalties that come from a driver making obvious mistakes. They're the kind that come from a driver operating so close to the absolute edge of the regulations that even the smallest miscalculation, the kind no human being could reasonably control for, gets punished as if it were deliberate. Here's why this matters beyond just frustration in a press conference. Hamilton has been remarkably open about how this is affecting him mentally, previously saying, in his own words, that he feels like he simply cannot catch a break with the stewards this season. When a 7-time world champion, a driver with more experience navigating this sport's regulations than almost anyone alive, starts saying that publicly, on camera, in front of the media, that tells you the frustration has moved past a single bad weekend and into something he's now carrying with him, race after race, session after session. And Vasseur backing him up publicly is significant for a completely different reason than you might expect. Team principals typically try to avoid direct confrontation with the FIA, because being on bad terms with race stewards can create problems that outlast a single controversial decision, problems that can quietly follow a team for an entire season. For Vasseur, a man known for being calculated and careful with his public statements, to go on record questioning the consistency of these calls means he's made a decision. He's decided the risk of staying quiet is now greater than the risk of pushing back publicly against the people who control every marginal call for the rest of the season. Think about the timing too, because it makes all of this so much worse for Hamilton. This is happening during his first season at Ferrari, a move that was supposed to be the platform for one final, serious championship push, the culmination of a legendary career. Every single penalty chips away at track position, at championship points, and arguably at the confidence of a driver trying to prove, at this stage of his career, that he can still win at the highest level in a brand new team, under brand new regulations that have already reshuffled the entire competitive order this season. A driver fighting the car. Fighting the regulations. And now, according to his own team boss, fighting what looks like inconsistent officiating on top of everything else. That is an enormous amount to be navigating at once, even for someone with Hamilton's resume and experience. There's also a much bigger question this raises about the FIA itself, one that goes beyond Hamilton or Ferrari entirely. If a team principal as experienced and measured as Vasseur is willing to publicly suggest that penalty decisions are being applied without enough nuance, treating marginal technical infractions the exact same way as clear, deliberate violations, that's a credibility question for the stewards themselves, not just a complaint from one unhappy team chasing headlines. And Ferrari isn't some small outfit making noise for attention. This is one of the most storied, most scrutinized teams in the entire sport, publicly questioning the fairness of a process that could ultimately decide who wins the championship. So where does this actually go from here? Does the FIA respond to this criticism in any meaningful way, either publicly or through how they quietly handle Ferrari's next marginal incident?